How's it going, guys? Copy here. Today I wanted to go over my build for Carino, Zealot of War, aka Carino 3. With this character, we are using the Ring of Blades skill, and the reason why we're doing that is for first things, we do basically trigger everything else off of activation mediums. So while we're actually in the map, we don't actually hit any buttons other than our button to loot. So you can set this up as a functional like 0 or 1 button build, whatever you want to call it. Which is really, really nice, as well as Ring of Blades helps mitigate some of the, I guess, what are supposed to be downsides for the specific stance switching that you do have with the character. So he does have some features where whether or not you are in a mobile mode or annihilator mode, you will have upsides and downsides of both. While you're in mobile mode, you will be getting some extra movement speed for while you are attacking things based on your stacks, and then while you're in annihilator mode, you'll be getting extra cast and attack speed, which of course is going to increase your damage. Along with this, basically you are able to use some additional things to scale the character. Primarily, the number one way to be scaling this character is going to be off of increases in projectiles or increases in projectile splits. And for this, I will show you here in just a second for why that is. But the primary reason is that the character itself is getting a number of buffs. So if you see this buff in my upper left-hand corner that says 68 here, this red buff here for overheated, this buff is capped at however many stacks of magazine size that you have. And your magazine size is increased based off of your total projectiles as well as your total projectile splits. So for every single projectile and projectile split, we are getting a +6 to our magazine capacity. Projectiles are obviously better than projectile splits because projectile splits aren't really doing anything for us on Ring of Blades other than giving us magazine capacity, while +1 projectile is affecting how many blades are actually spinning around the character. So the primary ways of scaling this build is going to be, again, based off of getting as many projectiles as you possibly can, as many projectile splits, and then in this case as well, we are going for increased channeling stacks as well. So far, the consensus is the best weapons that have been found for this build are going to be these Twisted Branch. If you are going to end up buying items, buying your Twisted Branch as well as your Misfortune Watch are probably going to be your best investments early on. Getting a Misfortune Watch that is still not crafted on is probably going to cost you anywhere from 200 to 250 FE. You probably want to buy one that's unidentified, just so you have a basically chance you're kind of gambling a little bit to get a lower roll to guarantee how often you're getting a guaranteed critical strike. And that's pretty much the crux of what you're really going for with the build. Outside of that, we are scaling ES with Cicada Shell, very similar to the Erica build that we just went over. So the good thing about this is if you have been playing the builds that I've been playing, you're going to be able to take over your blind vision from the Bing that you've already been working on, and then you're going to be able to bring over the Cicada Shell and Light Hunter Belt and the extra movement items over from your Bing and your Erica and put them over here. So early on in mapping, I was just running the same Valerie's Night Stroll along with Eternal Sea Fog here, which does give a marginal DPS loss over the Light Hunter Belt and the actual crafted boots setup. But you will move a lot faster, and you will be able to actually scale off of your movement speed as well because of something that is on the relic itself, but it does mean you will have to get that relic. You can see here I do have a crafted ring. I did craft this on the Erica for Curse on Hit. If you don't have this, then you would just run your Curse down here instead of Fixate, most likely. So you're going to want to go ahead and focus on that. And then for the Relics and Memories, if you are going to be running the mode where you are focusing on a lot of movement speed, this mod here that gives a increase and decrease to movement speed is also applied to knockback distance. This is important because between our tree and our slates, we are actually scaling a lot of damage based off of our knockback distance as well. So all of our knockback distance is giving us 300% of that amount as damage. So of course, all the increases we have to movement speed are then being turned into, you know, a percentage of that is being turned into knockback distance, which is then being turned into damage overall. For our other memories, we do want basically +1 projectile or +1 projectile splits on every single memory, as well as some other useful mod. For this, I put restoring missing life and energy shield, just because we don't actually have any other life regen outside of this. I'm outside of a little bit from life regain. Then you are running the memory, of course. Just get the prototype. The other one's going to be quite a few thousand FE, so I just stick with the prototype for now. If you don't have the money, you know, that's probably one of the last things you should upgrade, because the amount of increase you're actually getting out of it, 20% additional damage for the cost of 2,000 or 3,000 FE, you can probably upgrade other pieces of gear first. Then the last piece, again, projectile quantity, and then I have a knockback distance one here for knockback direction is reversed. This is because we do have, there are things that basically are going to give you knockback in the build, and if you don't have knockback direction is reversed, you could be getting things that are getting pushed out of the circle instead of being pulled into it. Then we have over here, we have, we are running Bullet Storm here. What this does is, again, it allows you, when you do swap between mobile mode and Annihilator mode, you'll basically carry over a 60% additional damage dealt buff because of it. And then in maps instead, you can run Shackles of Mania if you want. This is just going to give you a massive culling here, where you're culling at 75%, which is really, really nice. For this, we are running Ceasefire. If you do want higher damage, though it's going to be less consistent, you will have higher, like 5-second damage with extreme heat. But overall, you will just want to be running Ceasefire because it is going to be more consistent and more like balanced damage-wise. And then we are running Eternal Flames because, of course, we are getting the other one here from the Create Endless Wars. For your tree, you are going to want to be on this Goddess of Hunting here. You are just focusing on your life and ES. You need this attack speed because you need the less skill cost here. And then you're basically getting this cast speed and your critical strike damage here because it's 60% crit damage. And then we are going for Perception and Rushed here. And then you are going to be in the Marksman tree. This is probably the tree that's most important because it is giving you 2 abilities and things that are 2 major talents that are very important. The first one being Gale. So this is helping scale your projectile speed bonus, also being applied to additional damage. So between this and the helmet, 100% of your projectile speed bonus is applied to additional damage. So as you can expect, we're stacking as much projectile speed as we can. And then we are running 3 birds, 1 stone. So this is giving you your +2 projectiles, as well as some additional damage based off of your splits as well, and for every extra projectile. For your tree here, again, we're just taking all of the ES, the max life, the projectile speed, more movement speed, a little bit of damage avoidance, and then we're just getting the projectile speed here, and then more max life in ES. And then in the ranger tree, this you are taking because you are getting the shooting arrows, which again is giving you knockback distance, as well as we are taking impending, so the longer things are actually in range of us, then the more damage they are going to take. So after a second and a half, they are taking 30% extra damage. With this, again, same thing with the trees. We're taking our crit damage, we're taking projectile speed. Skill area is very important. We're getting a little bit of sealed mana here, some extra defenses, aka extra ES. And then we are going into this last tree here, which is giving us 150% of our increased to damage, or on knockback distance is applied to spell damage. And then we're just taking the crit damage here as well. And then for your slates, I have found the most cost-effective slate so far to be Focus Strike. This might not be the case after this video comes out. When I was recommending Open Wounds, they went from being 30 FE to, I think they're pushing like almost 1,000 or something. So I would say check around. If for some reason Focus Strike ends up basically shooting up in price, you can always use Penetrating. There's all kinds of different abilities that are going to give you anywhere from that 20 to 40% more damage. Just look over all of the major talents and see if you're going to find one that's going to work for the build. In regards to the slates, some important things to basically pick up for survivability. You do want to ensure you get this -1 skill cost for every 100 mana lost. You are going to need this if you do want to actually reserve all of your mana. And then you are basically looking for blessings here. Preferably, instead of this gaining a stack of blessing on defeat, you want the mod that is just going to give you focus blessings whenever you're like attacking elites or freezing enemies or whatnot. Then as long as you get that, then you have this 20% chance to get the other blessings along with it, and then you'll basically have all blessings on the build. For this, you are just going for max channeling stacks. And then you want one over here for the 150% of increase and decrease on knockback distances applied to attack and spell damage. This is capped at 1, so you want to ensure you're getting your 1. And then for the last one here, I just have some blur effect, just because I was doing the blur scaling here. It's not as important, but it is still nice just because the blur effect increase is going to give you basically like another 12% chance to avoid damage. So you're already getting 30% from blur. With this as well, you're getting another 12%. So it's really, really nice. And then again, the missing life and energy shield whenever you suffer a severe injury can really help keep you alive if you're taking a lot of damage. In regards to the skills themselves, on Ring of Blades, we are running a pretty simple setup here. We're just basically getting as many projectiles as we can, and then we are running critical strike damage and then increased area here. And then for this, we are running defense buffer along with activation medium energy shield and the standard setups here. For Secret Origin Unleash, we have everything with an activation medium root. Same thing for Fixate, and then the same thing for Blurry Steps. So while you are moving, you can actually get away with just doing like a bit of a stagger step in order to trigger root. So if you actually just change directions, you can actually get it to proc like that. So that's probably the easiest way to actually proc it while you're actually moving, is you just change directions real fast. So that really comes in handy. And then for the supports, we're running Precise Projectiles with Stand as 1 and Aura Amp, Elemental Amplification with Aura Amp and Stand as 1, and then Energy Fortress with Aura Amp, Selflessness, and Stand as 1. For the candles, we are running a Soul Eater candle, as they call, where again, extra damage, skill area, and movement speed for every enemy defeated recently. And then we are running a max channeled stacks with some resistances. If you do end up getting more sealed mana, you can also run a spirit here, either Frost Spirit or Flame Spirit. Whether you're going for offenses or defenses, you can decide from there. But that's going to be the route you want to go. So the reason why you may want to purchase a Twisted Branch, these are about 1,000 FE each, even completely uncrafted, is in order to get plus projectiles on these, you do need an item level 100, because that is required in order to craft +1 projectile, or +2 projectiles in this case on your Twisted Branch. That is kind of what you're going for. In regards to candles, you also are going for +2 projectiles if you can. Everything is basically stacking as many projectiles as you can is going to give you the biggest bonus and the best effects. So that's kind of what you're going for. Followed by, again, channeling stacks or stacking max ES, or stacking your skill area, or stacking, because your skill area is turning into projectile speed. So there's a lot of things that are basically just converting everything into damage. So you can scale off a lot of different mods. It makes the character pretty easy to scale. So it is something to focus on. Again, you can self-farm all this gear using the Legendary Vision. I recommend that in every build. Again, go to Legendary Vision. The 3 that I am focusing on is Light Hunter Belt, the Thunder Branch, and the Cicada Shell, because these are the ones where you're looking for good corruptions on. Getting a good corruption on Cicada Shell will increase your damage by a ton. Getting a good corruption on your Light Hunter Belt will do the same thing, because it's going to give you a lot more energy shield based off of your life. So these are really nice damage increases. So it's recommended you see a lot of these, just so you can try to get some good ones like this, where I got +2 to projectile skill level. So it is possible to get projectile +1 projectile on a lower than level 100, but it does need to be the mod that's base on there, and you can't actually craft it on. You can only craft on max tier 2. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments down below, and I'll be more than happy to answer them. And other than that, see you in the next one.